Hey, what's going on, everyone? Kyle here. The You Know I Got Soul in Stereo podcast is back, episode 45. I've got Tom and Ed with me, guys. So much to talk about in R&B today. We have so many new things to introduce to you guys on this podcast. But Tom, I know you want to give a couple of shout-outs first?
Yeah, before we begin, there's one shout-out I want to give. Can I shout out soulandstereo.com? I mean, Ed has been a part of this podcast and a part of our site for a while now. But if you haven't checked out his site, soulandstereo.com, he's got so much to offer on here. He does the best album reviews in the game, R&B and hip-hop. And then he's got these Whatever Happened To sections, which are just awesome because a lot of people are wondering what happened to these people. And then he has these love letters section. If you need love advice, he's got you covered. I mean, everything's on here. A unique site like none other. Just wanted to shout it out real quick and show him love.
Look at that. The brother's getting love on an early podcast. It feels like Christmas. It feels like my birthday. A brother's site.
Had to get that out of the way because you know we're going to be beefing the rest of the podcast, so the love is over.
You know how, yeah. Y'all get the love in now because you know it's going down. But on that end, to that end, I would like to thank my boys, Tom and Kyle, because when I came on board, when was it, Tom? Like 2014, 2015? I mean, it started with a direct message and just saying, hey, what's up? Want to know if you guys wanted to be interested in a couple reviews. Years later, these two dudes are like, fam, we've got the podcast rolling, we've got the reviews going. The sites are almost one and the same. I'm really appreciative for the opportunities. Hanging out with these dudes, hanging out with dudes that love music as much as I do. So shout out to my boys. I'm always pushing them when I'm out here getting interviewed by other outlets because you got to show love to the fam. So thanks, y'all.
Awesome.
Man, I'm feeling the love here, but Ed, I'll be honest with you, something seems a little fishy with all this love going on, because the last two podcasts, Tom has been on his apology tour dealing with the TLC situation. Now, Tom, Are you ready for apology number 3?
Oh, no. Now what?
So, a couple of podcasts ago, you were dissing the Ed Sheeran song, the single that he has out right now?
Yeah.
Now, did you know that he actually borrows the melody from No Scrubs by TLC?
Wait a second. Yes, I did read that. But why does that deserve an apology?
Because you're dissing TLC again. Because you said the song sucks and it borrows the melody.
Come on,
this
man.
This dude is stretching like Mr. Fantastic this morning. Player, please.
Oh, man.
If anything, the TLC fans need to be apologizing. Not for anything. I just wanted them to say that.
Let's keep it real. He just gave them the credit so he wouldn't get sued like Pharrell and Robin Thicke.
Real talk. That's what it is, if you want to keep it real.
Yep. Well, anyway, speaking of... well, anyways, we got new music that came out. I did a review on the Kevin Ross album. Great album. I actually talked about it last week, so if you hadn't had a chance to listen to the last podcast, go back and listen to that. But there was another album that came out this upcoming week, or this recent week. It was Trey Songz' Tremaine album. Ed, I know you had a chance to review that album. What did you think?
I did, and your boy came in, as a reviewer. It's always important to keep an open mind, but as we've talked about in these last two podcasts, like, this album hasn't been promoted at all. There have been a bunch of little random singles here and there, but nothing pushed for real. And the only thing I ever hear about is his lame reality show. I don't hear anything about the music. So I expected some gigantic dud, and I was just ready to tear it up. But lo and behold, the album is actually okay. He has instead, intentionally, because he has songs directly referencing this, he is pushing away from the party music. So no more stripper music, at least for now. And he's focusing more on soulful ballads, and it's ironic. It's the Trey that we started with in 2005 instead of the Trey that became the pop star circa 2010. So if you're a fan of that sound, you'll find a lot to like in this album. Now, don't get me wrong. There's plenty of debauchery and whackness to be found, especially on that second half. But the first half of the album was surprisingly solid and returned to his old sound. So good for Trey. It was kind of a pleasant surprise.
I'm assuming the Animal song will not be on our top 100 countdown?
That song won't be on my top 10,000 countdown. Oh. If you don't know the song I'm talking about, hit YouTube. It's up there. The man, Come on, Trey. I tried to give Trey the benefit of the doubt, and then that song came up, and I was like, oh, here's Trigger. Here's the Trigger we know. So, but again, that song is kind of a rarity. There are only a couple ridiculous songs like that. If you heard R. Kelly's song The Zoo from circa 2005 or 6, you know what to expect. And it's just as ridiculous.
Now, Tom, Trey actually did an interview, I think, with the Breakfast Club a while ago, and he was mentioning all the R&B artists from my generation, from Neo, Chris Brown, Omarion, Marcus Houston, Bobby V, and he said the reason why he wasn't able to blow up like all of them did, especially in the beginning, was that his image was too hood. I think that was something that you were talking about too, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's something I said, like, that would be an issue for him as he got older, and it was certainly the case. It's kind of like he swayed between being hood and kind of being this, making the R&B jams, though, when it benefited him throughout his career. I don't really know. I mean, if that's his real personality, though, I mean, it's just who he is. What are you going to do about it? But it is an interesting point, though. I mean, never really thought about it in terms of, like, against his peers and whatever, but his peers are certainly in trouble right now. We know that much. We've talked about that. But
boy, are they.
So we'll see what happens.
Good on Trey. You guys definitely go support it. What do you guys think it's going to do first week? I have a really low number in mind, but I'm curious to hear your guys' prediction.
I honestly have no idea. When I post an album review and Trey Songz fans are like, I didn't know he had an album out. If your core fan base doesn't know, I'm expecting this thing to move about 13 units, and that's 10 of those are like family from Virginia and Petersburg. So I have no idea what this thing is doing.
I was going to say, I said 25 was my guess, 25,000. I mean, it's a tough one. I have no idea, really. But what was the last one, Kyle, first week?
Last one was Trigger. It sold about 105,000.
Damn, that would be a huge drop-off. But like we were talking about last time, the promotion hasn't been typical, so no idea.
Not at all.
Yeah, this is a tough one. I'm putting the number at like 15. But, his fans might come through and support him. Who knows?
Yeah.
Another one of Ed's favorite artists, Tamar Braxton, recently left. She left her deal with Epic and is now signed independently to eOne. And the deal that she got from eOne was $1 million.
They know they signed Tamar Braxton and not Tony Braxton, right?
What? Come on, man. She can sell records, though.
She can.
Man.
Can't she sell them when the reality show not on?
Is it over? I don't follow TV, so I have no idea.
Tom doesn't own a TV. But I have no idea what that reality show does, but
yeah.
Let's be fair. I'll be fair and nice. I'll be nice since I started out the podcast nice. Tamar's her albums, I feel, are extremely overrated by her fan base, which I have discussed, I think, in last week's podcast. My feelings about the Tamartians. But that aside, I think she's a very talented artist, but I think that she has been slightly, more than slightly, grossly overrated in many ways. So I hope that this $1 million pays off, but it seems like a pretty pricey price point, Leia.
Yeah, that seems unheard of for an independent artist. $1 million?
I didn't even know.
Now, if her reality show is still in rotation, then okay, I can see it, because that is her promotion right there. People love that show.
I mean, it honestly, from my point of view, this is kind of like breaks the trends a bit, because eOne is kind of known as the indie label where artists go, when they've kind of not fallen off but faded a bit, and then it's like a whole different dynamic, and they've never really signed someone who had this much celebrity, so I'm curious to see how it's going to work out, from that point of view. I mean, with eOne, you typically get one single at radio and one music video, and it's very structured the way they roll out your promotion. So this will be interesting, and this could like be an indicator of how things go forward on if they'll sign more artists like this, or if it's a failure, maybe they will stick to lower budget type artists. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, the difference is, like Ed said, Tamar has so much. She has more backing than a lot of these independent artists have. You know, I think she has a new reality TV show coming out, from what I understand. So it is going to be different, and with her husband on board, I think they're probably still going to move a couple of units. They'll still sell well, I think. I don't think this is going to be detrimental to her career at all.
No, it'll be pretty solid, but I'm just waiting for the Tamartians to run up in my tweets. I will be able to tell the second this goes on Twitter, because that will be 10 seconds later. My mentions will be on fire. So, hey, y'all.
Nice. Now, Tom, before we, I know you had a couple things you wanted to talk about, but just on a side note, guys, we're going to do a Milk Carton edition later. So we're not going to mention this group, but I just wanted to point out that this group is actually back, and that's the R&B group Cherish. But they're missing 2 members, so it's just 2 sisters as opposed to 4 now.
Honestly, I
Tom,
wasn't really
please.
Go ahead, Ed.
I was going to say, please don't ask me to name the members of Cherish, because
oh man,
I ain't got nothing for you.
I didn't even know one song by the group. Honestly, I don't even know how I missed them, but I didn't. Yeah, but
oh, I definitely remember them. They have a song called Amnesia that stays on my iPod.
Oh.
I love that song, but besides that, can't help you.
But the good news is their new single that we just posted, Self-Destruction, is actually really good. I even forced Kyle to listen to it immediately this morning, and he liked it too.
Yep.
Cool, I'll check it out. I've been in review mode this week, so I've got to catch up on a few things.
Ed, you know damn well if I like it, you're not going to like it at all. Don't even bother.
That's probably true. I'm giving it a benefit of the doubt, player.
All right, Tom?
So if, a couple of disturbing things happened to me this week related to R&B. Well, one not so related to R&B. Did Rick Ross release an album, Ed?
Player, yes. And if you listen to Twitter, it's the greatest thing since Illmatic. But people get very excited about mediocrity. But I digress. Go ahead before I get heated.
Can I just tell you what happened? Someone asked me if I heard the new Rick Ross album, right?
Uh-huh.
That's pretty much it. I mean, I was pretty insulted by them asking me that question.
You were insulted by the very question of being asked.
Why would you ask me that
Rick
question?
Ross album?
Why would I listen to a Rick Ross album? Or do I look like I would listen to a Rick Ross album? That's insulting.
No, you should be insulted.
But
your level of disdain is just crazy right now. It's hilarious.
I was offended. Moving on. Number 2, another incident that occurred. So, you know how these R&B shows tend to pop up all over the United States, and they have these promoters all over doing their thing, and they have these weird flyers from time to time, and they put all these 90s R&B artists on the same bill. So, I seen this flyer pop up. Ed, this is for you, man. So, it was like Joe, Drew Hill, Genuine, and then the headliner was Keith Sweat. And underneath Keith Sweat, it said, "Sexiest man alive." Man, I was just like, wow. Who comes up with this stuff? That was on the show flyer.
Keith has a great street team. That's what it sounds like to me.
This was a show flyer, man. Like, is that expecting them to sell tickets by putting that? Is that even...
I do not understand this, and I can't judge my man, but his body of work, and his body of work is off the chain. But I can't judge his physical body. So, ladies, you're gonna have to step in for me on this one. So, if you think he the sexiest, you can let a brother know. I'm not sure if that's gonna get some extra sales, but I will say I have been to a Keith Sweat concert where women threw draws on the stage, so there could be something to this.
We're gonna need Mrs. Superwife to chime in on that one.
Shout out to my girl Crystal. Let us know if Keith is the sexiest man on the planet. I'm guessing she's gonna say no, but I'm holding out hope.
We'll also look out for Lachelle Wallace's commentary on that one. Two of our biggest supporters.
Wow.
Boy, she gonna have the.
And then I've got one more.
She's gonna put YouTube on fire.
I've got one more current event. This one wasn't as offending to me, but I found it interesting. So Adina Howard just came out with her new single and video for a song called Blasphemy. And not to comment on the song, but unfortunately it features some kind of trendy production with trap beats, and her vocals are kind of like have studio magic on them. And I was just a little disappointed.
Oh.
So it's just disappointing to see artists try to make comebacks and kind of go for the trendy sounds, thinking that's going to help them. You know, I don't know. What do you guys think?
I don't know if we've had a chance to talk about my baby mama Adina on the podcast yet. So let's take this opportunity.
Okay.
Because I love me some Adina Howard. You had to be there in 1995 when she said she was a freak in the morning and a freak in the evening. See, we take the freakiness now for granted, but back then, that was some next level booty shaking. So, Adina had us all shook in 95. But beyond that, her debut album, and I've said this many, many times on Twitter, I think her debut is one of the most underrated albums of the 90s, period, of any genre. It is so good. And her follow-up albums, which have been pretty sparse here and there, have been pretty solid. But her debut was amazing. I'm a huge Adina fan, so it does hurt my heart a little bit to hear her auto-tuning and trapping and all that junk. But, you know, you can never let go of your first love. So you can call me Adina. We cool.
I'll tell you what, take a listen to it and then report back next week. It's called Blasphemy.
See, I'm scared, player. No. Don't mess with the memories.
Come on, guys. There's always some good in the bad. There's always some good in the bad. The bad is that, yes, she's putting out a trap song. But the good news is she won't end up on our milk carton edition anymore because she put out a new song.
Oh, my God.
Gotta take the good with the bad, guys.
That's the silver lining, I guess, player.
Good segue. Good segue to the milk carton edition, Kyle. Who do we have this week lined up? Ed actually inspired the milk carton edition this week because I saw one of his posts on Soul and Stereo.
We have our boy Sam Salter. Oh,
Sam
sorry,
Salter.
I cut you off there, but I stole your thunder.
You got it. What do we know about Sam Salter?
Well, unfortunately, in 2017, we don't know much of anything about him. In 1997, though, Sam Salter was that dude because he was signed to LaFace, and if you are an R&B guy on LaFace studying under Babyface, you know you're going to have some hits. So his second, I think it was his second single, There You Are, amazing. Banger. Amazing song. And his album, It's On Tonight, was really strong, too. But then he was supposed to have a follow-up, and that just kind of went by the wayside. And after that, he was sucked into the milk carton vortex, and we've never seen him again. So, if you out there, Sam, holla at us, because it's been 20 years since you gave us some heat. That is too long.
Interesting note about Sam Salter is he actually recorded Sisqó's song Incomplete first, and I believe ended up passing on the song. Yeah. So...
And I did not know this.
Yeah.
And then, well, actually, another interesting fact, he also had the Boyz II Men song, Color of Love, and that was supposed to be on his sophomore album as well.
This dude's just giving away hits. My goodness. Did he have a Thong song, too, and he gave that away?
I can't, I don't know about that, but...
Well, hold on. I'm reading his Wikipedia, the Sisqó song Homewrecker. Do we know this song?
Oh, that was the second album, right?
Yep.
Oh, if it's second album, it's been purged from my memory. Because I was like, I don't remember that. And there's a good reason.
Yeah.
Good Lord, that second album.
Oh, Sisqó.
Man, I mean, what is... Next thing you're going to tell me is he recorded the whole Confessions album. Sam Salter recorded Confession. They just gave it to Usher.
Killing me, man.
Tom, I know we want to get into a new segment right now. I want to introduce this to you guys. You know, we draw influences from all different things, from sports to music to reality to news. I want to introduce this to you guys. The R&B Hall of Fame. the You Know I Got Soul R&B Hall of Fame.
Can I tell them
who are some artists?
Well, let me tell them what it means to be in the Hall of Fame. First of all,
okay,
we're going to assume that the obvious people are in it, like the Stevie Wonders, the Whitney Houstons, and the Luther Vandross, Aretha Franklin, etc. You know, the obvious people. And the Hall of Fame is for the greatest of all time. If someone's like really had a really good career or is a great artist, they might not be in. So if we don't vote someone in, it doesn't necessarily mean they're not good. We just can't have everyone clogging up the Hall of Fame. So we got to keep it tidy. Fair enough?
Yeah, and plus with a Hall of Fame, you don't induct like 90 people in at one time anyway. You have a couple of people in a year, so calm down before y'all start yelling, because I see the tweets already are typing.
So for this edition, what we're going to do is, like Kyle was mentioning, this edition, this podcast, we'll do like 10. And then going forward, maybe we'll do 1 or 2 on each podcast. We'll add that as a permanent segment, but we wanted to get the ball rolling on this one. I'm going to throw out a name, and then each of us will vote on it. We can debate it. We can vote them in and see where we end up.
Okay.
This should be exciting. Ready, guys?
Well, actually, you know what? A good idea is if each of us present an artist to the table.
Right. Fair enough. I can hold some of these back for the next ones.
Because if we have 10, we'll be talking. If we have 10, we'll be talking until Dre drops Detox, and that's gonna be a while.
Oh my goodness. Oh.
All right, Tom, you go.
All right. First up, Sam Salter. I'm just kidding.
Oh man. Yes.
I'm sorry. I couldn't help it. Sorry. For real. All right. For real. First up, D'Angelo.
Make your case.
Well, I'm not nominating him. I'm throwing a name out there. I'm saying this one for me could go either way. So think about the impact he's had. He's only had 3 albums. But in terms of the impact he's had on the genre, you know, pushing a sound, I think you got to look at it from that perspective. For me, the answer is no. But I think he's close.
I would say he's a very hearty yes. And for the reasons that you said, because of his impact. And even though, I'll be honest, I'm not a fan of every D'Angelo album. He's only got 3. There's one that I love, there's one that's okay, and one that I don't really like that much. I still understand the impact that he's had. A lot of that's been mystique, but when he has delivered, he delivers. And when you think that he's kind of birthed a whole generation of R&B artists that have followed his path and are still following his path, I think it's a no-brainer. So he would get my vote.
Tiebreaker,
I would
Kyle?
probably have. Well, I'd have to say yes as well, just because of his first 2 albums. Those are still albums that people listen to today and they hold dearly to their heart, and the impact that he had, just the introduction of neo soul, you got to go with D'Angelo. He's in.
Fair enough. So, do you want me to keep going, or does someone else want to go next?
I'll go next.
Okay.
Okay.
Trey Songz.
Oh, man. State your case.
Please.
State your case.
Can I state my case? All right.
Yep.
You can state it, but go ahead and state.
Look at his track record. And I'm just saying his track record. I'm not saying anything about his albums. His track record after 2009, and how many R&B artists have came after that and have had the success that he has. Not many. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, I got plenty to say. When it comes to Trey, I feel like his career has been a lot of unfulfilled potential. He started out very strong. I think he peaked in 2009 with Ready. And although he's been very consistent, I don't think that his output has matched that. I think that he had the opportunity to be like especially when my old cousin Chris self-destructed circa 2010. I feel like he should have, for the next 10 years, been R&B's dominant voice. He's kind of squandered that. So instead of doing that, he's just been, okay, decent albums here and there. He's been somewhat influential, but even, I feel like Chris Brown in many ways has been more influential than he has. And even Chris Brown, I would kind of side-eye an induction. So, nope for me.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think you made a good point in terms of being more influential. I mean, who has Trey Songz really influenced? Has he influenced the next generation? I don't know the answer. I don't think he has. To me, he's more so had some commercial singles that have elevated his status, and it's kind of made him one of the top names in R&B, but I don't think... It's like the argument I made last week. His music is not going to stand the test of time at the end of the day. And for me, a Hall of Famer, music will stand the test of time, so I will have to say no.
Sorry, you guys are killing me, but it's okay.
Let's be honest, no one from your generation's getting in. Let's just call it right now.
Only time will tell, my friends.
That's true.
Keep holding out for Mario. He'll give you that album one day, Kyle.
Ed, are you throwing one in?
You know I am. And you know who it is.
Oh, boy.
Oh, boy.
Oh, it is. It is the OG of R&B himself. The sexiest man alive, according to some ragged promoter. Keith Sweat. 30-year career. Probably 20 million sold. I haven't even looked up the number the last time I checked. Last time I checked, it was like 17 million or something. Has been kind of the pioneer of New Jack Swing. One of the headlining voices in the 90s. Still doing this thing today. Still packing houses. Legendary artist who, for whatever reason, still hasn't gotten his due. So, he's going in a Hall of Fame. Yes.
I'm going to say yes, just so I don't have to hear you complain for the next 15 minutes.
Oh, you know me well. I'll take it as a win.
I'm going to say no because I feel like Teddy Riley made Keith Sweat's career.
Oh,
please.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Oh, man.
I'm going to say no just so we don't have a unanimous yes.
You're saying no because you're a hater.
No, but he makes a good point. You got to keep the unanimous status for the real legends.
Oh, man.
Like Trey Songz? Good Lord.
All right. Moving along. My next one up. Ready?
Please do.
Should we do... Let's go one more around. 3 more.
Okay. This is a good one. I'm just picking some ones I think will be tough. Like, they're not obvious. So for me, I'm going to say Alicia Keys.
Well, hold on. Before you say that, I was just saying Trey Songz to make it tough on you guys. I don't actually think Trey deserves to be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, but you can at least make the argument he could be in it, so that's fair.
Okay. But you said Alicia Keys?
Alicia Keys, just her level of success from the start, hit records, has become one of the biggest R&B artists, crossed over to pop. You know, I don't know. I feel like she's been one of the most successful since she came out compared to her peers. So what do you guys think?
I think she's another given. I think that in recent years we tend to, it's kind of like become in fashion to kind of hate on her for whatever ridiculous reason about who she's sleeping with or whatever. So I think she gets a lot of unnecessary hate these days, and I am the first one to say that her material today isn't as good as it was 5 or 6 years ago. But you can't look past that material that she put out 5 or 6 years ago. And for those who weren't around in 01, 02, when she completely dominated the scene, she really was a turning point. And I think that you can't look past that. So she's got my vote, no question.
Yeah,
Classic
I'm
songs,
sort of with
5-star albums. Hook it up.
Yeah, I gotta go with Ed on this one. First album, great. Second album, I didn't really like as much. Third album was great. You gotta understand, like, Alicia Keys, for 4 albums straight, she maintained, a high standard, and she has that longevity. She adapted with the times, and, she never strayed away from that for the most part. You got to give it to her. Just she deserves to be in it. You know what? You know what I'll say though. In terms of Hall of Fame, she probably fits more in the pop Hall of Fame than the R&B Hall of Fame, just because of her level of success in pop. But I'll give her. You don't think so?
Well, what? I'd have to review her discography. Like, did her original hits cross over? I don't really know.
The early ones did, yes. Like Fallen in them definitely crossed over. But I still feel like even though they crossed over, they were R&B. She didn't start drifting toward pop until As I Am era and some of the more recent stuff that wasn't as great. So she definitely has a pop side, but at her peak, she was R&B. So I think that qualifies her.
All right. Cool. Unanimous.
Wow. My turn?
Yep.
Mr. Voltron himself, starring in Fast and Furious, Transformers, Baby Boy.
Oh my God.
Mr. Tyrese Gibson.
Oh my goodness.
Can I make my case? Can I?
Case. Yes.
Well, I will say this about Tyrese. Early on, if we're looking at the first 8 years of career, maybe 10 years of his career, maybe not. He was sort of just in the middle. He didn't really distinguish himself from any other R&B artist at that time. But over the last 6 years, going independent, I think he's kind of changed the game a little bit. He's kind of changed the landscape of his career, and has just turned himself into a superstar.
Ed?
I really want to hate on him just because, but I really feel like he's one that's on the fence. Like, I'd have to really sit and think. When it comes to output and material, I think that he's had some good albums, but he's had a lot more mediocre albums than he had good albums. When it comes to great songs, he's had a couple, but he hasn't had like an Alicia Keys where there are these groundbreaking songs. But I will say he has kind of upheld the banner a lot more than most. So he gets props for that. But I kind of talked myself out of it. So, no. He's close, though. He's close. I just feel like he's just slightly out of the range.
Yeah, I'm going to say no also. Just because, like, probably if he had dedicated himself fully to music and not done movies also, and he had more time spent in R&B, then maybe I'd consider it. But I just feel like he hasn't had enough of a resume to get in, and plus his ego. And if he could just humble himself a little more sometimes, man, that loses some votes, that ego.
He'd be in if he didn't have an ego.
Maybe,
man.
That counts for something.
Oh man.
Ed?
Oh, yeah, I forgot. It's my go. One person came to mind, and I'm not 100% behind this person. I'd like to just get y'all to weigh in. Aaliyah.
Oh, I knew it was coming.
Now, I know...
I knew it was coming.
Oh, boy.
Because... And here's why I say that. Because if you ask the internet, she is the greatest artist since Whitney Houston. But she has had great albums, and she is definitely influential. But I don't know if... And I almost say that she didn't have the longevity, but she was around for 3 solid albums and a couple soundtracks. So it's not like she had an abbreviated career. But I wonder if the online hype matches the actual output. So I'm really on the fence with Aaliyah. What do y'all think?
You want to go first, Kyle?
Sure. The output is good. All 3 albums I think are pretty solid. Her second album is obviously a game changer. Now, if we're asking whether she belongs on the R&B Hall of Fame with the likes of a D'Angelo, a Keith Sweat, and an Alicia Keys, I'm not too sure on that one. I wish there was another award that we could give her. I don't know if this is the spot for her. It's close, though. I will say it's close, and I think it's going to get more challenging as we go along and we start naming different artists who end up on the Hall of Fame, and then you're going to go back and say, damn, Aaliyah should have been in this. but right
Yes.
now I'm leaning towards a no.
I'm going to say yes, and only because she's been so influential and still influential. You got Chris Brown and Drake still trying to get her records out there, and those are two of the biggest names out right now. But here's the thing, like, when an artist passes away, it's almost like we freeze them in time and elevate them to the highest, portion of their career. So, like, if her career had carried on, she may have fell off by now, and we wouldn't even have been talking about her for the Hall of Fame. Who knows? But, like, since she passed so early, all we remember is the good stuff, and we just carry her to a bigger heights. And I'm not saying she doesn't deserve it, but who's to say she wouldn't have been an independent artist by now and not even talked about? You never know. But what she did accomplish when she was here is enough, I think, to have her in there. And, I think I don't think she would have fell off, in my opinion. But she probably would have gotten more into acting and other things. Music might not have been the focal point. So I always bring up her last album, while she was still alive, me and you talked about this, Kyle. It wasn't doing as well as people had hoped. And then when she passed, it really started taking off. So that's just another thing to factor in.
Yep.
That's true. I've talked about that as well. I think that a lot of people remember that last album coming out and like breaking all these numbers. But I have a clear, vivid memory of that album dropping and me walking in Target and there being like 700 copies like near the register where you buy. And I was like, no one copped this album? And she hadn't passed yet. And it was probably like days before that. And I was a big fan of the album. And I was like, people need to get on this album. But then, of course, we lost her and they flew off the shelves. And I think also that first album was hurt because if she went with Rock the Boat as the original single, that would have probably pushed it a little bit more. But all of your points are great. I see them. I'm just on the fence. I don't know. I love her to death. I love Aaliyah, but I don't know.
So what's your vote? You got to vote, though.
Yeah, you got to vote.
I got to vote? Oh. I'll say... I'll go with a hesitant yes.
Oh, thank goodness. The stands were lurking.
Wow.
Oh, the stands stay in my back pocket. We good.
All right, let's go 3 more, guys. This is fun.
All right.
This is fun.
This is the same guy that was like, "Don't do 10; it'll be too many."
All right.
Well,
It's
we're
like,
at 9.
all right, let's do 50.
We're gonna be at 9, so we're good.
All right.
All right.
Here we go. This one's for you, Kyle. All right.
Yep.
Neo.
Ooh.
Neo, and I'm going to say, oh, man. I'm going to say, if we were talking about his albums, no, not yet. But if we're talking about his whole body of work in terms of songwriting, then yes. So overall, I'm going to say yes.
Yeah, I would say that too. I call that the Babyface Award. I mean, his albums have been good.
Oh, man.
His writing has been great, man. And he did have an impact on music. Like, let's not pretend like he didn't. There was that time period where everything sounded like, well, he either wrote on it or Stargate produced it, and that went on for about a year. From songs like Irreplaceable, Take a Bow, and some of the other stuff. I think during that time period, pop music was very ballad heavy, and a lot of that was probably Neo. So, and his first 3 albums, great albums. So, I'm gonna go with yes.
Can I jump in before Ed? Sorry. One quick thing. The thing about him is, I don't know if any of his albums we'd consider classics, and that might be an issue too. And and then he also did kind of go the way of the Usher and go pop. So those are 2 negative factors. But Ed, I'll let you go.
See, now I got to come in as big bad hater and probably say no on this one. And the only reason why I say no is because of what you just said. I think when it comes to albums, his first album is great. That's the greatest thing he's had to a classic. I don't consider it a classic, but I think it's the closest one. He's had a lot of up and down work, and while he was really, really hot for a couple years and very influential, I just don't think overall body of work does it. And if we are Now, if this is a Songwriters Hall of Fame, okay, we got it. But if we're looking at this as overall achievements, I think his achievements behind the boards are a little bit stronger, but that's not enough for me. So,
Damn.
Well, so 2-1, he's in.
Tom?
Well, I say yes.
Wow,
I say based on factoring in the hits that he's written and been featured on, I'm counting that. So
you want us to put an asterisk next to his name?
Well, no. I mean, we're just. I'm just saying that's what we're looking at it like the whole body of work, not just based on his albums. That's just clarification.
Sure. Okay, gotcha. Okay, I mean, I don't want to do too many of these artists because we have so much more to go. But we all love them. But are they in the R&B Hall of Fame, guys? Dru Hill.
You want to make your case for that one?
Well, I just threw the name out there, but I have to think about that one too because we've mentioned their first 2 albums are great, but I don't know, everything after was sort of shaky. And are we including Sisqó's solo career in this induction?
You can include Sisqó's solo career and I'd still vote no. No offense, I love Dru Hill, but I just don't think they've done nearly enough.
I pretty much agree on this one. And as we said last week when we were discussing Dru Hill versus 112 versus Next versus J.E., I think when you compare them to 90s groups, they are among the top, especially late 90s groups. They might be the top. But if you're looking at overall influence, their debut, I feel like, is 5 stars. Their second album is great. And then it's a huge drop-off. And not that some of the other stuff was bad, although I think one was bad. But that it's just too much inconsistency. And for this Hall of Fame, I feel like it needs to be an artist who has game-changing work and consistency and longevity. And they just don't do it. Even if you kind of factor in Sisqó, and I love Sisqó's first album, but even then, his flame burned out even quicker than the groups did. So that's going to be another no for me.
Kyle, you know who that reminds me of? If I can use it, can I use a basketball analogy?
Sure.
They're like the Tracy McGrady. They started out amazing and then burned out early.
Yep.
Oh man, sorry.
Man, I just realized every person that I've nominated has been out.
Well, most of them that you nominated, you said you were shaking on yourself. It's not like, oh, this is my guy.
Oh, no. That's how fights break out.
I've been in my share, player.
All right, Ed.
Let's finish this off.
All right, I got one. And speaking of fights, I know we're going to come to blows on this one, so I'm already rolling up my sleeves and get ready to go. Erykah Badu. And she is an easy yes for me. And I will tell you why. Basically, she's a female. Let me finish for you, wild out, Thomas.
I'm chomping at the bit over here.
So the reason why is pretty much the same argument I have for D'Angelo. A phenomenal debut, a little inconsistent as far as the amount of work she's put out, but pretty much every album she's put out has been strong. Stronger than D'Angelo's discography to me. Extremely influential, still has it today, still packing houses. She has this new fixation with trap rappers and hanging around with them, and that kind of worries me. But besides that, as we talked about with with Adina Howard, sometimes your heroes break your heart every once in a while. But her career is extremely amazing. 5-star debut, can't hate. Badu goes in. Tom, come on.
I'm not going to argue too much. Man. You know what the problem is?
But you want to.
Here's the problem. It's like, artists like this, she's just so elusive. I mean, they just don't remain in the spotlight enough for us to really appreciate them. I mean, we know their body of work, but it's not like they're releasing music frequently enough. I mean, I mean, what did you even think of that last mixtape?
I liked it.
Yeah.
As usual, Twitter overrated it, but I liked it. It was a cute little vanity project, and it was entertaining.
I don't know, man. I'm iffy on this one. I feel more strongly about D'Angelo. Even though I appreciate the greatness of Erykah Badu, man. Come back to me on this one. Let me give it another minute and think about it. Kyle?
See, this is a tough one. She hasn't really aimed for mainstream success, so I can't measure it based on that. She has had a impact on R&B. I don't know if it's as significant as D'Angelo's, because that's who we seem to be comparing her to right now. Yeah, I don't know. This is a tough one. I'll go with I'll say yes, just because of the longevity. People still love Erykah Badu to this day, and they still listen to her music, and even her newer stuff.
Yeah, but I feel like it's the longevity is only because of the elusiveness. Had she remained in the spotlight, had she consistently released music, would she still be at this level? And I don't know the answer to that. I mean, man, it's been 7 years since her last album. You know, she's only had 5 albums in 20 years. It's like, man, I'm going to say no, but I'll probably change my mind later. It's a tough one, though.
I mean, the elusiveness is a great point. It's that old argument that people have about Biggie in the rap world, where it's like, oh, you consider him a legend, but he only had 2 albums. If he was around 20 years, he would have had plenty of time to put out garbage, which is probably true. But all we can do is judge by what they gave us. So
right, fair enough.
Mm-hmm. So just to summarize, the R&B Hall of Fame thus far, we have out. People who won't be in it. Trigger will not be in it. Mr. Voltron, Tyrese Gibson will not be in it, and Cisco and his boys, Drew Hill, will not be in it. People that will be in it: D'Angelo, Alicia Keys, Aaliyah, Neo, Erykah Badu, and I guess Keith Sweat will be in it.
You better guess. I think that's a pretty strong class, if you ask me.
Sure is.
We'll take it.
Now, I want to quickly go into the food discussion, because I know we're running a little late now. That took a little longer than I anticipated. What's on the menu tonight, guys?
Well, I had a revelation. All right, feel me on this, guys. Right? So,
oh boy,
if we were able to name our podcast studio something, right? I think I'd go with the Grilled Chicken Studios. What do you think?
I think that's the most disgusting thing that you've said on this podcast.
Oh, come on.
Grilled Chicken Studios?
Yes. But what would you name it?
I would probably name it something more tantalizing than that garbage you just said. Let me think.
No one can hate on chicken. Grilled chicken.
No one can hate on chicken, but I'm going to hate on your grilled chicken.
It's chicken's
you
so
probably
good.
Don't even grill the chicken. You just like paint the lines on with a magic marker and then say, "Look, it's
Come
healthy."
on, man. Grilled chicken's so good. We're gonna name our whole studio after it.
My God.
Wow.
God. Oh. I would rather it be named after chicken fingers than grilled chicken.
No, actually, I will not even eat chicken fingers. Believe it or not.
Oh, I believe it.
I won't eat it. Sorry.
That's ridiculous.
Now,
anyway.
if Kyle said he didn't eat chicken fingers, that would surprise me.
No, I love chicken fingers.
Oh,
well,
man.
see, that's what I thought.
Yep.
All right. How about
Chicken
this?
finger studio.
Can we bring up a food this time around that's not fast food? Does anyone actually eat at any place that's classy?
Crickets.
Please define
Crickets.
classy.
I don't mean like Olive
Define
Garden.
classy.
Not like Olive Garden or something like that. I mean like real.
Is Olive Garden still open? I haven't been to Olive Garden since like 1999.
Damn.
Wow.
You're missing endless breadsticks and salad bowl, man.
They still have that.
Yep. That's their main attraction. I don't even eat out much, to be honest.
Well,
We
I guess
eat out a lot, but most of our places are local. I can't think of like any chains that we hit up.
well, I guess if we're struggling with naming foods, let's go back to fast food. I got some more McDonald's news for you guys.
Oh my god. All
Where
right.
do you find this stuff?
It's all over my newsfeed for some reason. Maybe it's because I search it up so much that it just pops up for me. You know how the SEO works.
Look, player, I'm in marketing. It's called targeted ads, and you keep searching weird, gross food, so it's gonna land on your timeline. So
Yep.
there you go.
So McDonald's is actually going to be releasing their sauces in bottles to be sold at grocery stores. So there's a Big
Wait a
Mac
minute.
sauce.
Isn't it just Thousand Island dressing? Like, I thought this was well known.
Apparently it's not. Apparently there is a slight difference in the two.
Player, please. They are gonna take those bottles of Thousand Island dressing, slap McDonald's on the front, charge you $50, and then peddle it as some magic sauce.
Yep.
Can't wait.
So they have a Big Mac sauce, they have a McChicken sauce, which I thought was just mayonnaise, but apparently it's not.
Oh, wow.
McChicken sauce? What is that? Isn't that just ketchup and mayo mixed up? Man, McDonald's is fun.
And
They're like the auto-tune of like the fast food world. Their vocals are fraudulent.
Oh.
And the last sauce will be the Filet-O-Fish tartar sauce, which I believe is the same as every other tartar sauce, but I'm going to have to buy a bottle and find out for myself.
Oh my gosh. I'll make sure that we get a nice casket for you after you eat that and pass away.
Damn. Oh, man. So that appears to be it for this edition of the podcast. We inducted some people into the Hall of Fame. We didn't include some others, which I'm still very sad about, but we'll have to revisit it. I might sneak Tyrese into another podcast, and, you guys will probably forget about him by then, and then he'll just magically sneak into the podcast.
Wow.
Yeah, we're really going to forget about Tyrese, the dude that can't stop self-promoting himself for 15 seconds on Instagram.
Oh, man, his Instagram videos are the best. He just puts a camera to his face and just starts talking about nothing.
Oh my God.
That's a skill.
Player, I don't need to look up your nostrils while you ramble about something, getting your grease all over the phone. Ugh.
In his deep voice as well.
It's not sexy. Keith is the sexiest man
Oh
alive
my
from
God.
what Tom told me. That's the one thing I learned from this podcast.
Oh, man. I knew you'd get a kick out of that one.
Oh, you're not living this one down.
We're waiting for the confirmation to come in from our two biggest supporters, Lachelle Wallace and Mrs. Superwife, though.
Oh my goodness, those two are gonna lay in me.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll also need to have an R&B Sexiest People Alive Hall of Fame. So Keith Sweat might be the first.
Oh, my God. I'm not getting involved in that.
I'll let y'all vote on that one. You
not-
can have the vote on that one, player.
So
Call
I mean,
me
I guess,
when it's time to vote on Adina Howard and Deborah Cox, and then we good.
Oh,
I mean, I guess on behalf of us three right now, as far as Keith Sweat getting into that Hall of Fame, I think it's a unanimous no. So Lachelle Wallace and Miss Superwife, there's a lot of pressure on you guys to put them into that. Anyway, Ed, what's going on with SoInStereo.com?
Oh my gosh, this podcast is ridiculous. Nothing but reviews on Soul and Stereo. So if you want to know about the latest of new albums, hit me up. I've got a review of Drake's album, which I thought was going to be terrible and wasn't that bad. And then we already talked a little bit about Tremaine, my thoughts on that. The Rick Ross album that Tom loves, his feelings are about the same as mine, and I actually listened to it. So check out the album and see your thoughts on that. And early this morning, I posted a review of Raekwon's album. The Chef of Wu-Tang is back, and it is surprisingly good. His last album was but if you're a fan of that old school Wu-Tang sound, you will like his new album. So stop by Soul and Stereo and let me tell you what's up.
Cool. And then as far as I got so I just actually put out the review of the Kevin Ross album, and that actually surprisingly got a lot more retweets and comments than I thought it would. I thought it would just kind of fall on deaf ears, but seems to be a couple of R&B fans that are interested in that album, and I suggest everyone to just take a listen to it. It's kind of a breath of fresh air in the times of trap and turning up. So definitely go check out that. Tom, what else is going on?
Well, it's been a slow week for the most part, but you went to a concert last night, right?
I did. I went to an Ariana Grande concert.
Oh, how'd you just miss this, player? I got to get you on with this. Your ears still work? Good for you.
Ouch.
Come on. I will say this, though. I have realized I don't know what she's singing about half the time.
You just realized this?
It just sounds
good.
I
realized that since the second album.
It just sounds good.
That's true.
Yep.
It's like saying that, like, crickets sound good on a summer night. Like, I guess, but I don't know what they're talking about.
Wow.
I did actually get to catch Victoria Monet, who was, I don't know if she's still signed at Atlantic, but she's an artist that we support. She was opening up for Ariana Grande. Do you guys want to guess how long her set time was?
Oh, Lord, I'm afraid to ask.
Did
they give her longer than 15 minutes?
Nope, it was 15 minutes. She got on that stage, did her little two-step, sang a couple of notes, and before you knew it, she was off the stage.
Well, still support the grind. Still support.
Times are hard, man. But anywho,
times is hard.
Times are hard. That appears to be it for this week's edition of the podcast. Tom and Ed, it's been a pleasure. We're gonna have to do this again next week so we can nominate my girl Brandy and put her into that Hall of Fame. But until then, we're gonna have to call it a day. Peace out, guys.
Signing off from the Grilled Chicken Studios. Peace.
The Grilled Chicken. Wow. Get out of here, please.
All right, later, guys.